Picture me, sat here at my desk, and I'm ready to record a video where I explore the Indian side of YouTube. So you may or may not know this, but it's kind of been getting big over there over the past couple of years. Maybe you remember the whole PewDiePie T-Series thing that happened back in 2018. So I kind of wanted to know, what's similar over there and what's different. Do Indian YouTubers, do they kind of bite into the cash cow, the sacred cash cow that is YouTube beef, or do they do their own thing entirely? I don't really know, but that's what I was hoping to explore. But then I kind of ran into a little bit of a problem. So I'm someone who likes to look at things and watch things, and I end up quoting them quite often. So I was thinking, if in that video I was to quote someone in an Indian accent, would that be like a taboo kind of thing? Because it is a sort of taboo, at least where I am in the UK. And so I was just kind of thinking to myself, am I going to end up crossing that line? Is it offensive? Is it not? A while back there was a video uploaded, and maybe you have or haven't seen it, but it was called something along the lines of Guy Nails Every Accent. And in that video, you'll notice that there's no Asian accents in there. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if the video just cut out before he got to them. I don't know if he just couldn't do them. I don't know if he was just fearful of whatever backlash that there is, or would have been, from doing that. But, I'm just kind of here to say that Asian people exist, and there's actually quite a lot of them. So when is it okay to do their accents?
Do you wanna do nothing with me? Do you wanna do nothing with me? Do you wanna do nothing with me? Do you wanna do nothing with me?
I wanted to start by talking about things that I like to quote, and I couldn't think of a better example of one of the TV shows that I like to quote better than a show from the late 2000s here in the UK that was called The Inbetweeners. And I'm not alone in that. The memes that were spawned from this show, they're still in circulation to this day. I'd be amazed if they weren't still being used in high schools. I wanted to talk about one of my favourite quotes from the show, and that is from the Ooh Friend scene. For those of you who have seen the show, you already know where I'm going with this, but for those of you who haven't, you might be wondering where the comedic value in just that simple little phrase comes from. So I'm going to break it down for you here. So the show is about this group of 4 friends, and they are good friends, but they like to take the piss out of each other quite a bit. And in this particular episode, it starts off with them being at a house party, and there's kind of a background character that says goodbye to one of the friends that are in the group.
Jay, I'm off, mate. See you soon. All right, mate.
And so the rest of them kind of latch onto that, and they just start taking the piss out of him for having this friend that they didn't know about.
Who's that?
Just a friend.
You've made a new friend? Oh, a friend? Since when have you had other friends?
That's literally it, and I'm going to play some of the clip now just so you can see some of the mockery on display.
Oh, friend!
I knew him from when we was doing trials at West Ham. He's moved into the area. He's just some guy.
Some guy? Oh, he's just some guy. Oh, he's just some guy. That's all it is.
But it doesn't stop there, it just keeps on going.
Friend from when Jay had trials at West Ham that never happened. Don't forget the thumbs up. Oh, friend.
And going.
Oh, new friend. Friend.
And going.
Please be my friend. Oh, friend.
And going.
Oh, friend.
Fuck you lot. Where's the beer?
We're out. I'm going to the loo.
What, for a wank? You wanker.
Friend.
And don't forget the thumbs up. So I think that this is just some pretty good evidence for the point that if you're in the UK, people will just take the piss out of you for about anything. There are a few reasons. Jesus Christ, my fucking accent's going on a fucking dog walk with that one. But yeah, there are a few reasons why I think that this is such a highly quoted scene. I think it's because it's, compared to what other teenage boys normally say, it's pretty acceptable. There's no swearing. The setup for it's dead easy. You're not having to go through some sort of Norm Macdonald 12-minute fucking joke just to set up the punchline. And I think it's just very simple, very basic, and it's something that we can all sort of relate to. But at the end of the day, what it is it's people using their voices to push mockery onto someone. So what exactly am I getting at here? Am I saying that this is now a problematic quote because it's direct mockery of a fictional character in a TV series that's over a decade old now? It might be problematic to a few high school teachers who still have to put up with hearing the quotes from it, or maybe a few special Twitter users, but no, I'm not saying that it's problematic or unacceptable. I do, however, think though that if we're going to try and be grown up and sophisticated and learn something from a comedy show that aired back in the 2000s, then it should be this. I think that using your voice as a means to mock someone can be fine, but it can approach a sort of grey area, you know. So like, we can even see this later on in the episode, because eventually the mockery, it does start to get to Jay, and we see that it actually does start to upset him.
Friend! Made up football friends!
Just give me a fucking rest, will ya?
Hello? Isn't that Friend's car?
Oh, new rims car, friend!
But there's kind of a feeling that he's not really an innocent character. Like, he himself will mock others, so we're a bit less sympathetic towards him. But let's actually start looking towards a real world example. And I'm going to show you another clip that I like quoting.
Stop. Mate, come here. How come you've got, right? Here's a look at this. How come you've got a fucking Night Trader and a fucking Timberland boot on?
I've got diabetes.
You've got diabetes? What's that got to do with fucking shoes, you ranch cunt?
Because I have...
So I enjoy this clip probably way more than I should, because there's just something that's so interesting about it to me. Like, how does this situation even come about? It's just so absurd. Like, do you just happen to see a guy walking down the street with odd shoes on, and then think to yourself, hang on a minute, I'm gonna stop, film this, and then like interview the guy as well, instead of just like driving past and just having the phone out and just kind of capturing it. But there's just something that's so like sweet about the video as well. Like, the guy seems so friendly when he's got another guy in his face kind of calling him a bit of a cunt.
What's that got to do with fucking shoes, you ranch cunt?
Well, I get that it's kind of jokey, but you understand what I mean. But anyway, I don't really mind like quoting him and using his accent as well, like the whole, what's that got to do with your shoes, you ranch cunt? And I mean, like, it's kind of a shit accent, like, but it's just an enjoyable quote to say. I mean, that's just kind of ignoring the punchline of the clip as well, the whole, I got diabetes. Man, I fucking love this video. But yeah, I just don't suppose that we're really using our voices as a means to mock the guy, like we're kind of laughing along with him. But it don't really cross any boundaries either, because it's not really pressing into his identity, or at least I share an identity with him, so I don't really think that I'd feel bad about doing it personally. But let's kind of get even closer to the grey area, and we'll explore two clips which have people with accents of Asian descent, I guess is the way to put it. I already know that there's going to be a commenter out there just bloody click-clacking away at his keyboard saying, hey bro, you can't just say Indian accent, you know. But I hate to break this to you, but India's kind of a big place, and there's actually quite a few different accents there, at least according to Google.
Sorry. Fuck you, mate.
What the fuck are you doing?
Don't go anywhere.
Don't go anywhere.
I'm not.
Don't go anywhere.
I'm not. I'm sitting on my
Don't
back.
go anywhere. Are you fucking blind? You can't see me.
I crashed.
You crash. How are you coming fast?
You are fucking.
You fucking, you bloody.
You bloody.
Fuck you, bloody. Bastard bitch.
You
fuck
bastard,
you. Bloody fuck you, bloody. Okay, have a nice day.
I think that these clips highlight another example of times where I do think it's acceptable to actually partake in doing the accent. And I think this because the joke isn't that you're actually making fun of their accent or anything. And I mean, if you are actually doing that, then that's where you're starting to cross the line, and you yourself are just being an arsehole. But I think that in this case, it's like, it's not the joke is the accent. The joke is that their English that they're speaking is a bit broken, right? So you're kind of laughing alongside them. And I think this is kind of comparable to, I had a friend in school who was a bit shit at spelling and stuff like that. And there was one time where he was writing the word coke, but instead he mistakenly wrote cock. Like, you know, it's kind of a mistake that you can laugh about. Additionally, how good someone's English is actually something that they can get better at as well. It's not like an intrinsic property of the person's identity. We are, however, fast approaching the edge of the grey zone, because let's say that you've clued yourself in on these videos now and you kind of got the hang of them. you've nailed the accent, you know the quotes off by heart, and you're all set for doing these impressions that you've got. But let's say that you present it to your maybe one of your elderly relatives or something, and they have maybe a xenophobic bone or two. You know, they have their chips with a side of casual racism. But let's say that you kind of try to clue them in on the joke, and you hit them with your best, "You bloody motherfuck," or maybe you hit them with a, "Why are you coming fast?" And they now understand, because you're doing the accent, that, you know, you're just joking, right? They understand that the reason why your English is now broken is because you provided them with the context that you're doing an impression, you're putting on a character. And now that they're clued in on the joke, maybe your elderly relative decides to join in with you, so they put on their best Indian accent, and then they start talking about how much they love curry. Or how much they love working in scam call centres. Or maybe they just start off the Chinese accent by not even speaking at all, they just grab the corners of their... And there's an example of when something is unacceptable without even having to speak a fucking word. I kind of want to get into the answering the main question that's proposed by this video's title, and that is, when does putting on an accent become offensive? Because so far throughout the video, I've not actually even touched upon that at all. What I've talked about throughout the video so far is, when is doing an accent acceptable? And I think that here is offensive, here is acceptable. They're not the same thing, but they do often go hand in hand. So let me give you an example of a time where something is probably quite highly offensive to some, but for some reason is generally accepted. So let's say that I put on a southern US accent, and I start talking about how much I want to fucking plow my sister or something. Like, I'd say that's probably a pretty harsh stereotype to be reinforcing. But for some reason, like, people just don't really care about that as much. And I think that there may be one or two reasons behind this. I think that the first and foremost reason why people are a bit less accepting of doing an Asian accent is generally because it is used as a way of mocking people. And as of recent times, maybe the past couple of decades, we've become a lot more sensitive to the struggles that a lot of Asian people have had to go through in, like, Western countries. You know, it's not a good thing, and obviously I don't agree with that. Like, I think that everyone should be treated equally. But I think that the second thing is that I think a lot of people will say it's like a historic thing, but this is like not something that I agree with so much, because if you look at the history of the UK, we've had beef with pretty much most of the globe. But for some reason we can like pick and choose like which historical adversaries we can sort of make fun of with the voices. Like, I don't think anyone would find it particularly unacceptable for a person from the UK to do a German accent or something, and I mean, even just last century, you know, we had a bit of beef with them. Twice. I think that the hard question to ask in all of this is, when does putting on an accent become acceptable? Because I think that to define when it becomes offensive is actually quite easy. So doing an offensive accent, or an accent, becomes offensive when you start using it to mock someone or to reinforce negative stereotypes about them or their culture, or if you're just using it to be racist or whatever, like, you know, the standard stuff. But when it becomes acceptable, it's kind of a much more in-depth question, because I don't know if there's like some sort of threshold for how sort of shittily a group of people can be mistreated before it just kind of crosses over and you can no longer make fun of them because it's just seen as being too harsh. And with that, I think that the appropriate thing to do is to hand the question off to any of the Asian viewers who can maybe leave a comment and tell me where I'm right and tell me where I'm wrong. Because the thing that I don't want to do is to try to overcorrect something based on my own notions of being, I don't know, second-hand offended by something that someone says. I think that it should be placed in the hands of people that are actually affected by the issues. So let me know in the comments. And I just wanted to add one thing as well. So this is a kind of a personal thing to me as well. So I went to the USA like twice, and both times I went there I had people who noticed my accent and they kind of did make fun of it, but guess what, I was kind of okay with it and I actually played along with it, They actually really like it when I say the word water bottle. Like, that seems to be a favourite of theirs. But that's fine because I'm in on the joke. And so what I kind of wanted to do was, I wanted to request that if there's any Asian people that are watching this, is to just try and give in my accent a go, because it was funny to see Americans try to do it because they just couldn't. And I don't think I've ever heard an Asian person attempting a Yorkshire accent. So it'd be kind of cool if you could, like, I don't know, tag me in a video of you trying it. And with that, peace out, I guess. Have fun. Make fun of people, but just don't be cruel, I guess. The joke is that their English that they're speaking is a bit broken, right? There are a few reasons.